Well, back home now, and this week federal parliament passed laws to raise the compulsory superannuation contributions level from 9 to 12%. But a fresh battle is brewing over the way superannuation is taxed. Each year the government forgoes around $30 billion through tax breaks for superannuation. Critics argue those concessions favour the rich and there's a push to have the system overhauled. Neil Woolrich reports.
Ever since Paul Keating introduced compulsory superannuation in 1992, the system has been in a seemingly constant state of flux. This week, the Gillard government gave the super regime another makeover, raising the level of compulsory contributions from 9 to 12%.
What the government's interested in doing is making sure that Australians have enough money to retire on.
But the constant tinkering with super seems far from over, and the next battleground could well be over the tax breaks given to superannuation.
I think the idea of some tax concessions to superannuation makes sense, but when we look at it, we're spending nearly $30 billion a year. It's not quite clear why.
Under the existing system, employer and employee contributions are taxed at 15%, investment income within a fund is taxed at the same concessional rate, and benefits received after age 60 are tax-free. The Greens argue those concessions overwhelmingly favour the rich, and the Australia Institute's Richard Dennis says Treasury's own figures show that the current way of taxing superannuation is regressive.
30% of the tax concessions are going to the wealthiest 5% of income earners. So we've got a system that's delivering around $10 billion a year to the wealthiest 5% of Australians and virtually nothing to the poorest third of the population.
However, David Knox from the financial advisory firm Mercer says that's only part of the picture.
If you look at super tax concessions alone, they favour the high income earner. But what we've got to say is the retirement income system is built on this three-pillar system in Australia: the pension, the super guarantee, compulsory contribution and voluntary super. And if you look at the picture as a whole, it's a very equitable outcome.
Mercer has modelled how much government support is given to the typical worker through either superannuation concessions or the age pension. It's found the total amount of government support for each worker's retirement is similar across all income levels.
For an individual over their lifetime, the government supports them either through the tax concessions or through the age pension or a combination of both. And that's pretty level across all income streams. It's in the order of about $400,000 for an individual across their working career and their post-pension age.
The Minister for Superannuation, Bill Shorten, says the reforms announced this week will help lower income earners, but the industry remains wary of further changes to the system.
But we've got to make sure the tax rules don't change every budget, because people are saying, I'm contributing this year or next year, I'm contributing for 20, 30 or 40 years. I want to know that benefit is going to be there with the appropriate taxation support.
So far, the government has rejected the Greens' calls to change tax concessions on super. But with Wayne Swan under pressure to deliver a budget surplus next year that's already looking wafer thin, the temptation to raid the super pot might become hard to resist.